I know it's been quite some time since I posted last, and I apologize for that. We got really busy near the end of the season, and obviously work comes first, and work for us is weddings. So anyway, today I wanted to get back into this because a few days ago my friend posted a photo at this trail and it looked really cool. It looked like there was a really cool backdrop, so I figured, what could we shoot there that we can share with you guys that would actually be useful to you too? A lot of the times I don't like to post just, random videos just for the heck of posting. I want to post something where if you're a photographer, you can kind of take something away from it. Today I wanted to go over using high-speed sync, when you would want to use high-speed sync, and also, like, if you don't really understand flashes too well, I wouldn't recommend doing high-speed sync yet. So one thing that I tell all of our photographers is learn how to use your regular flash first. So once you can master shooting with regular sync speed, then start playing around with high-speed sync. If you try to play with it a little bit too soon, a little too early,
you're gonna have a bad time.
You're gonna get a little confused, and it's gonna feel like a daunting task, when in reality it's actually quite simple when you break it down. So why would you want to use high-speed sync? One of the reasons is that when you're shooting with a flash, you tend to have to shoot at a higher f-stop or a higher aperture in order to darken the background. Since your sync speed normally tops out at 2/50th of a second or less, your aperture is therefore going to be like f11, f13. If you're shooting in the middle of the day, it's going to be up there. With high-speed sync, what you can do is get past your native sync speed of 2/50th or 1/60th or whatever your camera lets you do, and therefore you'll be able to shoot at a lower aperture. So instead of shooting at, let's say, 250th of a second at f11, you can be shooting at 2,000 or 4,000th of a second, and your aperture can be a little bit more open, so the background becomes a little bit more blurry. Now, some of you know that I'm not the most technical person. I'll link something below, actually. I'll link maybe something that explains high-speed sync a little bit more in the way it works and the way the flashes react. So with regular sync speed, the flash goes off. It's just one pop, one big pop, and that's what gives you the exposure. When you use high-speed sync, what your flash is basically doing is bursting little bursts of flashes as the shutter is opening and as the shutter is closing. So therefore, you're going to be using a lot more power by using high-speed sync. This is why I was saying that you shouldn't get into it until you master regular sync speed, because you'll understand recycling time. You'll understand that if you're going at full power, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer for it to recycle. With high-speed sync, it's actually even more draining on your battery, so you're going to have to be a little bit more patient and not maybe shoot as fast. And for that reason, today I'm going to be using the AD600 instead of the AD200, which we normally use. The AD600 is going to give us a lot more power, so the recycling time is going to be quicker, and it's going to give us more power so we can overpower that bright background. So Daniel should be here in a little bit, and we're going to take off. So Daniel definitely hit a home run with this location. It's really pretty, so I think if we're allowed, because it is a monastery, I'm gonna shoot an engagement session, I think, here next week. But it is freaking beautiful. I'm really bummed I never knew about this place. He's up there, he's setting up a light stand because we're gonna use the MagBox today to soften the light, and we're gonna use the AD600 because I want that fast recycling time, and also because with high-speed sync, you do need a ton of power for it to really show up. With a little flash, it's a little bit harder because it just doesn't have as much power. Since with high-speed sync, it's not just doing one big burst, it's doing multiple little bursts as the curtain is opening and closing. So the AD600 is definitely gonna be good to have today. Also, you can hear that I'm out of breath. The beautiful thing about the Godox system, which is what we're using today, is that basically all I have to do is set it to high-speed sync on here, on the remote, and automatically it's going to go onto high-speed sync onto this flash. In older systems, you would have to put high-speed sync on here, high-speed sync on the camera, high-speed sync on the flash. You would have to do a bunch of things in order for it to get going. Now it's literally pressing the sync button here. So when I hit that sync button right here, you see that little thing on top. And I should take off this plastic so I don't look like, you know, like I'm putting plastic on my couch. So this is the scene that we're looking at, and it's very, very pretty, but if we shoot it without a flash, basically what you're going to see is it's going to expose either for the foreground like this, so everything's blown out in the background, or if you expose for the back, you're going to get a silhouette. So what I'm trying to do is to darken up the background so we have that kind of background where it's a little bit darker, and then using a flash to bring our subject out of the dark area. So it's going to be basically 2 exposures. To add to that, we're going to do high-speed sync today, so that way the background is also going to be nice and blurry along with underexposing or making the background darker. So let's do it. All right, so we just finished shooting. The sun is about to go down behind us, so it's time to wrap up. But I think one thing that you guys will be able to see is the difference between using high speed and not using it is how much blur you get in the background. Now today, it's a little bit darker behind Daniel, so it's not as apparent. But if we use this in the middle of the day, let's say, and there's, you know, a lot of distance behind him, it's really going to exaggerate the blurriness that you get. So I think this season we're going to be incorporating it a little bit more, so stay tuned. If you guys follow us on Instagram, you'll see the stuff that we post, and I'll try to incorporate a little bit more high-speed sync and just kind of playing with that blurry background, because it does really make a big difference, especially when it's a little bit more middle of the day and you have more behind the subject. So I think today was a pretty good example of it, but we'll definitely be using it in different scenarios.